Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to one and all. And thank you so much for joining us today from different parts of the world. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji announced 16th January, the Foundation Day of Startup India, as the National Startup Day last year. In honor of the same, today, to celebrate the startup ecosystem of India, we are celebrating Innovation Week 2024. We have been conducting various programs since past 1 week, which will be culminating tomorrow into the National Startup Day, which is the 16th January. And this session, we are celebrating our very important stakeholders, our global partners, and startup ecosystem enablers. This panel focuses on the key 5 pillars of innovation, including incubation, funding and financial assistance, public private partnership, market access, and government infrastructure. Without further ado, I would like to call upon our first speaker, Mr. Jay Lee, Director of Global Business Center, Korea SMEs and Startup Agencies, also known as COSME, to discuss upon incubate to innovate pillar and international perspectives for the startup growth. Over to you, Mr. Lee.
I'm glad to discuss about Cosme with all of you. I am Jae Kyung Lee from Cosme, Director of the New Delhi Global Business Center. I will introduce Cosme and then I will introduce GBC and best practice of startup in India. Okay. Next. Okay. Here, let me tell you the background of Cosme. Cosme was established in 1979 to contribute to the balanced development of the nation economy by strengthening the competitiveness of small and medium venture companies and expanding their management base. Cosme operated the small and medium venture startup promotion fund, which aimed to supplement market failure, lead the market, and create growth and engines for small and medium-sized enterprises. We are providing policy fund to startup company and small business that the private sector avoid to compensate for market failure and help SMEs secure the new growth engine in response to change in industry and business environment. The 223 years fund budget was 10.2 trillion won, of which 4.2 trillion won was invested in the loan project. Budget financing is financed by issuing bonds, collecting existing loans, and contributing from the government. Next. We operate a global business center for small and medium-sized business operating overseas. It operated 21 locations in 13 countries, 5 centers in China, 4 centers in the United States, which have a lot of trade with Korea, and the number one in New Delhi in India. The Global Business Center is a project that supports small and medium-sized enterprises entering the country successfully by providing offices for local settlement, administrative support, legal, accounting advice, and marketing support. The New Delhi Global Business Center was established in New Delhi, India in 2006 and moved to the current Gurgaon Cyber City in 2019. It is operated with 14 independent rooms and 45 open spaces, and currently has 25 startups and small and medium-sized enterprise. Here are the photos of GBC facilities. As mentioned above, we have 14 independent rooms and 45 open spaces, 3 meeting rooms, and product display zone. We provide seminar room for the event for free to all companies who need a space of 30 to 40 people size. Open space Open space application will be on website only by the name of each space, and each step to apply in 5 minutes. There are maintenance charges for the space with the cost to 2K per month, and no other space charges in open space. Independent room process is on the page. It takes approximately 1 month, and there will charges for the room, but customer provides subsidy in first 80% and second years 50%. For these companies, the GBC support a variety of programs needed to enter the Indian market, including mentoring, B2B consultations, influence marketing, and demo day. These are the programs we have done last years for Korean companies who want to enter Indian market. Let me introduce one of startup in GBC New Delhi, Macaron, where they are established in 2019 and started e-commerce platform for the Korean beauty product. Started with 1 lakh sale in 2019. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a noticeable increase in the popularity of the K-pop and the K-drama in India. Several factors have contributed to this trend. People spending more time at home due to lockdown and social distancing measures, there has been a surge in digital entertainment consumption. Streaming platforms offering K-dramas and K-pop music video have capitalized on this trend by providing a wide range of content to Indian audience. The globalization of media and entertainment has made it easier for international content, including K-pop and K-dramas, to reach audience around the world. Social media platform and streaming services have played a crucial role in promoting Korean entertainment to a global audience, including India. With the popularity of the K trend in India, Macaron decided to increase their investment in India market. First thing they started is bring variety of brand where customer decide the preference brand. Now more than 100 plus brand on their website. Secondly, they hired marketing expert and social media expert and started hundreds of events regular base where customers enjoy the event and content on their social media and the website. Now Macaron reached the 5 lakh users and 5 crore sales in a month. The page is their new target in 2024. So far, I have briefly explained about Cosme. I hope my presentation will be useful information for startup and SME in both Korea and India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. That was very useful. We are delighted to see Korean startups' expansion to India with respect to K beauty products and other K trends. And also, we are very happy to see the success of the global business center that Cosme has set up in India supporting the Indian startups. We have a few questions for you, but we will take that up towards last session of our towards the last leg of our session during the Q&A session, sir. Moving on to the next speaker, I would now like to call upon Mr. Ashish Kapoor, Head of Inward Investment North India, Department for Business and Trade, British High Commission. Ashish will be talking to the audience about unlocking the market capital and exploring entry points for startups across borders. Over to you, Ashish.
Am I audible, Surbi? Thank you so
Yes.
much, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Ashish Kapoor from British High Commission, based out of New Delhi. I'm working as head of the Inward Investment Team with Department for Business and Trade. And thanks to Startup India for organizing today's conference. So we're going to talk about India and UK trade relationship as to where we currently stand, and a bit more about why UK is a strong market, and also about Department for Business and Trade as to how we can support Indian businesses who are looking to set up in the UK. Also, coupled with a couple of investment successes that we have had from India, who have set up the companies who have set up in the UK and are doing well. So maybe I'll start with the presentation. I hope everyone can see it. And moving on, just a minute. So this is what I have covered. So currently, India-UK bilateral trade stands close to 38.3 billion pounds for the year ending June 2023. And India is UK's second largest source of investment now for the fourth consecutive year. We have seen some really good projects, or rather companies, setting up in the UK on a yearly basis, close to 120 companies, which would include greenfield projects and as well as expansions that the companies have done in the UK from India. And the UK India support nearly 500,000 jobs in each other's economies, and there are close to 950 Indian companies currently operating in the UK, employing close to 106,000 people and creating job opportunities. Moving on, why UK? Why is UK considered to be a top investment destination by Indian companies? It is the sixth largest economy with close to 67 million people residing in the country, so excellent customer base. And we have good, robust infrastructure and international accessibility. Setting up a business takes about average 5 days in the UK. Reliable business environment to expand, trade, and invest. Also, culturally, we are very rich and have easy accessible language wise, and it's UK centrally located as well on the map. Four of the world's top 10 universities, which includes University of Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial College London, and University College London, are there in the UK. Also, with respect to the flexible labor laws that support growth. In terms of the corporation tax, we were earlier at 19%. Now it has grown up to 27%, but still the lowest corporation tax in G7. We have a lot of incentives and opportunities for companies who are looking to set up, create innovative solutions in the UK, and that can be, that could be under the R&D tax credits that we need to offer and the patent box, which will help you basically, paying lesser taxes to the government and also expanding your business. Moving on about Department for Business and Trade. So we as a department are focused on trade policy and investment. And when you talk about UK, we are talking about England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Now, as Department for Business and Trade, we are basically, focusing on making UK the best place to start and grow a business, driving growth, increasing jobs, and raising wages and living standards. Moving on, trade basically focuses upon increasing the exports from the UK companies to any other country. For us, it's going to be India. So trade team focuses upon that. And we basically help UK businesses sell more and grow more, creating new job opportunities as well. Whereas trade policy focuses upon, so when you start exporting to a country, you basically encounter a lot of barriers and issues while doing that. So trade policy team focuses on that, formulates various policies with the government, and tries to reduce the restrictions on imports and exports. Coming on to the FTA, which is the hot topic, which is free trade agreement. So the 14th round of negotiations are currently underway in Delhi, and we concluded the 13th round in December 2023. And both India and UK are working on a policy which is beneficial for both the countries together, right? And being the fifth and the sixth leading economies of the world, there is an opportunity to further deepen our bilateral trade relationship through the FTA. Also, there was an agreement that was signed between the PMs, and it was considered to be 2030 roadmap, which sets the ambition of doubling the trade between India and the UK by 2030. Moving on, now investment team which I'm part of, it's called the Inward Investment Team. We basically UK offers quite a competitive environment for companies in terms of setting up and providing incentives as well. There is business friendly environment for companies to expand, trade, and invest. Also, moving on, it's the government is also committing huge amount of funds, for infrastructure development to attract further FDI into the country. With, as you can see, including 100 billion infrastructure spending commitment by the government. Now, as part of the Inward Investment Team, we support companies who are looking to set up in the UK, and on yearly basis, we take delegations of these companies while working with various trade associations. For example, the London Tech Week delegation was had close to 100 Indian companies as part of the entire group, and this was done in association with NASSCOM in India, and as well as the London Partners Team, which is the promotion agency for London. We also took a delegation with ASSOCHAM, covering close to 15 companies as part of that delegation in December 2022. Now, one of the latest, recent events that's upcoming, which is Tech Show London, which is happening on 6th and 7th March, and we're planning to take a delegation around this particular show as well. As you can see, a snapshot over here of the delegation that happened with NASSCOM around the London Tech Week in June 2023. Moving on, some of the other initiatives that we undertake as part of the investment team is doing regular engagement, with our senior management over here, which would include His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for South Asia, who is based out of Mumbai office, and as well as the British High Commissioner. They would interact and basically discuss the various business opportunities with the Indian companies, and we do it across India. I'm part of North India team, so I'm based out of Delhi, and we cover the Northern India region. But we have colleagues based out of entire India. So we last one, basically the prominent one we did was in November. That happened in London, wherein the Trade Commissioner met with some of the existing investors from India who are expanding in the UK. Moving on, when you talk about setting up a business in the UK, what are the various activities that you need to undertake? So this particular slide would describe that, wherein you would decide on the legal structure of your business, whether it needs to be a subsidiary or a branch office or a standalone company. Then you would do the registration on the company's house for the business. Then you apply for the visas as applicable, set up the bank account, register for VAT, corporation taxes, then registration with at HMRC for the payroll, property, recruit staff, obtain business insurance. So how we are structured is we are based out of India. So we basically have an extended team in London who would work with you as project managers, and they will try and connect you with all the commercial partners who can process majority of requirements that are identified, by the companies. A bit more detail into our support as to what we do as an inward investment team. We can help you with identifying market opportunities in specific industries, provide specialist advice on taxes, access to finance, banking, research, development, visas, and skills. Also, we offer aftercare services wherein once you have landed in the UK, we can definitely help you with our set of network and our basically an extended support from the government in the UK to really succeed in the country. We also have something called UK Investment Support Directory, which would list down all the commercial partners providing the services on accounting or registration, visas, and so on. And that can be accessed by anyone. The link is also shared in the presentation. Besides that, the government, in association with various local authorities, city councils, and as well as promotional agencies, they offer soft landing packages for the companies, wherein they are attracting the cities. The various cities that are attracting FDI into their in that particular city in their region, and can offer free office accommodation, including co-working spaces, access to various grants and loan schemes, and identifying collaboration joint venture opportunities for businesses. Now, to briefly touch upon the UK visa services, we had there were close to 3.3 million UK visas and permits granted globally in the year ending September 2023. And with respect to the Indian visas, that basically the Indian nationals who had applied for the UK visas, Indian nationals were issued the largest number of UK study, work, and visitor visas in the year ending September 2023, and 90% of the Indian nationals who apply for the UK visa are successful. Moving on, just to briefly highlight about the relevant visas for the startups and the entrepreneurs would include Innovator Founder Visa. When you're trying to set up an innovative business in the UK, this is a visa category that you should be looking at. And this visa category needs to be sponsored by an endorsing body, and those names are listed in the presentation as you can see. The next category that you can consider is a UK expansion worker visa, wherein you basically appoint a person, senior management, somebody from the senior management over here in India who has been associated with the company for over 12 months to travel to the UK, set up a branch or a subsidiary business over there for exactly what you're doing in India. So these are the relevant ones that is applicable to startups and entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. There are other visa categories as well, but again, not that much relevant to the startups. Moving on a bit about the UK tech sector. So currently, UK tech sector is valued at $1 trillion dollars, and we have over 160 unicorns, making UK the number one in Europe for unicorn companies to exist. And UK tech industry is growing at a faster rate than the UK economy altogether. We have a strong base of accelerators and incubator programs as well supported by the government. The key locations, as you can see, London, Thames Valley, Manchester, Cambridge, Bristol, Leeds, these lead on the technology sector. Now, a couple of names that have been working with us, the Indian companies, and obviously these are big names, but again, we work across all the industries, all the sectors, and as well as across all size of companies. So TCS, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, Infosys, they have been continuously expanding in the UK and are showing confidence in the UK economy. Moving on, UK is an artificial intelligence superpower. Government has been supporting this initiative pretty strongly, and they have invested close to 2.3 billion pounds since 2014. UK has more than 1,300 AI companies. It's been almost an increase of 600% from last decade, and we have the universities offering courses on artificial intelligence, be it the undergraduate courses or the postgraduate courses. Moving on, couple of investment successes that we have seen in the recent past is Genpact, who have set up their innovation center in London and are planning to create, in excess of 500 jobs over the next 5 years. So there has been a continuous increase in investments by the leading IT companies from India. Obviously, the Tata investments that we have seen in the recent past, they have set up their basically battery gigafactories, basically one of the largest gigafactories in Europe, and this is happening in UK. Couple of other names that you can see: Hero Motors, Forest Essentials, Tech Mahindra, Piramal Group, One Point Consulting, and smaller companies, if we were to talk about, would include companies like Napa Dori from retail sector, Eminentia from IT industry. You would have Similinus, which is into AR, VR. We have been supporting these companies, and they have been doing pretty well in the UK and are growing continuously. So that's a brief about what we do and about the current UK-India relationship, and that's the team structure. So I'm based out of New Delhi. We have Vikram Singh as well, who's the strategic head. We have Mohit and Lisa as well, sharing our coordinates on the presentation so that you can get in touch with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that detailed presentation, Ashish. We were very glad to know about the market access opportunities in UK and how to expand. Obviously, we have been in touch with you and the team for various startup queries, and all the startups there wanting to expand to UK can write to Ashish or write to us, and we'll put you in touch with Ashish. Thank you once again, Ashish.
Thank you, Shivani.
Um,
Thank you.
Moving on, our next presenter for today is Mr. Hajime, Senior Representative, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Mr. Hajime,
Yes,
for the
am I audible?
startups. Over to you, Mr. Hajime.
Yes, can you hear me? Audible?
Yes, we can see you. Can you be a bit louder as well?
Okay, sure, sure. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay,
Please go
okay.
ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is Hajime Taniguchi from the JICA India office. Let us start with a brief introduction of our selves. So, as you can see, our major portfolio is to finance and support implementing the concession ODA loan projects. The annual commitment for new projects was about uh, 70 billion Japanese yen, i.e., 32,000 crore INR. And the annual disbursement marked more than 450 billion JPY, 26,000 crore INR in the last fiscal year. We currently have about 80 ongoing projects, including concession loan, grant, private investment finance, and technical cooperation projects. And for technical cooperation, we dispatched more than 8,000 Indian counterparts to Japan, and roughly 4,000 Japanese experts worked in India currently. Next slide, please. Uh, JICA, JICA as an organization uh, regards private sector development as one of the top priorities to address. By these three approaches, Africa Kaizen Initiative, Project Ninja, and promotion of investment and industries in Asia. Next slide, please. Here, JICA's effort to strengthen the ecosystem of startup development are also being emerged in India. JICA started the new technical cooperation project, which we call it SGBBE project in mid-2023. And this year will be the year of launching various actual projects. The project has three pillars of objectives. First, we will promote exchanges between Japanese and Indian companies and the innovative education and strengthen the support service management capacity for CII, for Federation of Indian Industry, and also universities in India for Japan-India business, with reference to Industry 4.0 and Society 5.0, with strong focus on startups. Second, we will also contribute to the development of India's manufacturing industry, which will lead to increased growth. Third, it aims to achieve by expanding collaboration between industry and academia on the business side and developing the ecosystem that will generate business innovation in India. As a part of project, SGBBE is going to initiate several projects for startups related collaboration between India and Japan. So I would like to present three examples, i.e. Crossport, Motto Osaka, and Ninja project. Next slide, please. First, this is called Export. That will be held between Osaka Chamber of Commerce in India. Osaka is, as you may know, the second largest city of Japan. And the Startup India, CII, and the IIT Madras. OCCI has provided the cross-industry academia open innovation platform called Export among companies, startups, universities, university students to promote innovative business ideas. In JICA's SGBBE's activity, we will support the creation of the Indian version of Export between institutions such as IIT Madras and Startup India and the CII, and eventually facilitate collaboration between Japanese and Indian exports. Next page, please. The second is a project called Motto Osaka. That will be held between Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Startup India and CII and IIT Madras. OCCI has provided the seeds-driven international business meetings as an open innovation forum to connect Japanese companies and Indian companies, especially startups, to match the technical seeds by Indian side and to have them propose the new business ideas for Japanese companies. In JICA's SGGB activity, we will support to start a Motto Osaka with India as well, and now we are under preparation. Next, please. Next one is about the project Ninja. This is an initiative launched in 2020 with the aim of supporting startups take on the challenge of solving social issues in emerging countries, especially in Africa. Ninja is an abbreviation for Next Innovation with Japan. Ninja will foster startups, collaborate with overseas companies, including Japanese companies, promote venture investments and impact investments aimed at solving social issues and make policy proposals. Although Ninja has not been conducted in India before, we are starting from this year to hold Ninja in India in collaboration with Deloitte. So all the three projects are now under preparation to be held this year. Then we'll be more than happy to collaborate with the audience, startup India, when they are officially launched. Next slide, please. If you listen to the words of City of Startup in India, probably you may come up with Bangalore. Bangalore is one of the best cities for startups, but nowadays, Hyderabad in Telangana is also rapidly growing as a city of startups. The uniqueness of Hyderabad is that the government of Telangana strongly supports startups as a state government industry policy, while in Bangalore, startup ecosystem has been created by mainly private sector initiatives. JICA is preparing the project to accelerate creation of startup ecosystem in Telangana. The project consists of 5 components, as you can see on the screen. Creation of you can see, including physical infrastructure of innovation hub for MSME and rural area, grants for rural and female entrepreneurs, and small loans to social entrepreneurs, program for students to promote entrepreneurship and business skills and engagement with large industry, including Japanese companies, consulting service to improve implementation capacity of government of Telangana to execute the project which mentioned. The point is the government of Telangana try to maximize the power of innovation and the startup for rural SME, women, and social entrepreneurs. Next, please. One of the characteristics of this project is JICA will facilitate Japanese startups and companies to start the business in Telangana with relevant stakeholders, including government of Telangana and the business partners. We hope this project will be the bridge of Japanese innovation and the Indian innovation. Next, please. Moving eastward from Telangana, I would like to touch upon about our cooperation in Northeast India. JICA has traditionally focused its efforts on building connectivity in Northeast India and the Bay of Bengal through building transport infrastructure such as roads and bridges. This is in hopes that the improved connectivity will be a trigger for promoting startup industry and further the emergence of a new industrial value chain. In a more direct way, to support the startup industries in Northeast India, JICA is now considering providing financial support to startup companies in this region with the financial institution of Northeast India. We hope these activities would help promote socio-economic activities in the Northeast. So thank you very much for your listening and the patience. I hope these information would be of your help to understand our activities and then promote the startup ecosystem in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hajime. The activities and initiatives conducted by JICA have been one of its kinds, and I'm sure all the knowledge sharing so much. And
I put you on stage. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So we have our next speaker from Finland who will be presenting on international perspectives on public-private partnerships. Miss Hanna Riski. She is a senior advisor with Business Finland, and I present to you. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully you're able to hear me. Are you going to share my presentation or should I do it myself?
Yeah, we'll be presenting your yeah.
Okay. Nice to see you all. My name is Hanna Riski. I'm working for Working Finland unit here at Business Finland. Greetings from very snowy and cold Helsinki. I'm today going to explain you shortly the startup ecosystem of Finland. I'm going to tell you about my host organization, Business Finland, and also give you some examples on how Business Finland, for example, is boosting public and private partnerships related to startups. Firstly, we can go to the startup ecosystem of Finland. Here are some figures or statistics about Finland that give a good ground for the reasons that why do we have a good startup ecosystem here in the country. Finland is number one in different kind of aspects. We are number one in sustainable development, number one in business environment. We have the best governance, most stable country, and we are also leading for skills development and work, and we are also among the top 10 innovative countries in the world. We can go to the next slide. You can state, of course, Finland is a quite small country, that we are actually one big business incubator. We have the most digital startups per capita here in Finland. We are the home of various unicorns from various business sectors. For example, the gaming sector is really strong here in Finland, and we have been able to raise a couple of known gaming companies as unicorns. And then we are also the home of Slush. Many of you probably recognize the name Slush because Slush is one of the most known international startup events in the world, taking place every November here in Finland. Finland is among the top 10 most innovative countries, as I did mention already earlier. And we are home to one of the most renowned brands in the world, Angry Birds, probably a name or a brand that is familiar to many of you. The world famous game, which is all, developed here in Finland. Kone, a global leader in the elevator and escalator industry, moving over 1 billion people every day. And then, of course, we have Nokia, a Finnish multinational telecommunications, information technology, and consumer electronics corporation. But what is behind the success of our startup ecosystem? First of all, mindset and attitude. I would say collaboration, trust, community spirit are the naming enablers of the ecosystem here. As I mentioned, Finland is not a big country. We have a close startup community here, a lot of international founders here, and we trust each other. You can reach out to different kind of CEOs or leaders here pretty easily, and also the education system here in Finland, it gives really good groundwork for R&D development here, and also social and government support. So for example, the government is providing different kind of social benefits, also governmental grants and loans for startup founders here in Finland. I'm going to explain a bit more in detail what kind of funding Business Finland is providing for startup founders. Here is also pictures showing the Finnish startup ecosystem builders. First of all, there's a lot of private and public funding available. Business Finland, my host organization, is providing funding. Finnvera is a state bank here in Finland providing loans and guarantees for startups. Then we have also private equity here. Events, Slush, I already mentioned, gathering the startup ecosystem around the world to Helsinki every year. We have Junction, which is a big hackathon here in Finland. Arctic 15 taking place in the summer here in Helsinki. And Polar Bear Pitching, which is actually a great event coming back now after the COVID years, which is going to be organized in the northern part of Finland in Oulu, where the participants will have the possibility to pitch to investors while they are swimming in an ice hole. So something truly Finnish there. We have a lot of communities and co-working spaces here in Finland. Maria 01, it's actually the biggest community co-working space for startups in the Nordics, and it's going to double its size in the coming years. We have Spark Up in Turku, A-Grid in Espoo, and so on. The Finnish cities are providing also different kind of support to founders here in Finland. Helsinki Partners, Business Helsinki here in the capital region, Business Tampere, Business Espoo, Turku Science Park, and so on. So basically providing soft landing services, how to establish the company. There are services for your spouse to find a job, and so on. And in addition to that, different kind of accelerators and incubators. We have general accelerators such as Kiuas and Redbrick, but then we have also sector-specific accelerators and incubators, for example, XEDU for edutech-related solutions, ESABIC for space-related solutions, and so on. And then in the next slide, just to mention that Finland is also offering a startup permit for international founders coming outside the European economic area to establish their company here in Finland. It's basically a residence permit if you have an innovative startup, a business idea, and want to come to Finland and establish a startup company here. Business Finland, we have a role in the process by evaluating the business idea and the team. And then if you get a positive statement from Business Finland, you can then apply for the actual residence permit from Migri for the maximum of 2 years. There's a possibility to apply for an extension, and your spouse and children can apply as family members. Then I'm going to explain you briefly my host organization, Business Finland, what kind of services are we doing and how are we also boosting this public-private partnerships among startups. So Business Finland, it's a public organization here in Finland, operating under the Ministry of Employment and the Economy. And our main target is to help Finnish companies grow and go international. We promote, facilitate, and fund innovation development. We help Finnish companies grow and go international together with our global offices all around the world. But in addition to this, we have an attraction task also, which means that we are trying to attract international travelers, investments, talents, and also startups to Finland. We have a truly international organization. We have about 760 specialists working for the organization in 16 locations here in Finland and in 40 locations around the world. You can see all the locations from the map. And in these offices globally, we have Business Finland colleagues helping the Finnish companies to grow and go international, provide them market information, local contacts, market opportunities, and so on. And the services that we are providing for the startups and for SMEs here in Finland, guidance for internationalization, how to develop your business plan, how to develop your internationalization plan, by market information and contacts are provided by our global network in these 40 locations globally. Funding is something that Business Finland is actually the most known, I would say. We provide grants and loans for research, R&D, and business development for SMEs, but also for larger companies and research organizations if they are doing joint projects with SMEs. We are also running different kind of programs, which basically means that we are bringing together companies from a specific sector, let's say, for example, related to health tech. And we are providing different kind of internationalization services and funding for these companies as a service package. We are going, for example, together to different kind of international trade fairs under the Finland brand. And one example on how to boost also this public and private partnerships is the building of ecosystems. So Business Finland is supporting the development of different kind of ecosystems where you bring startups, research organization, and larger, bigger corporations together. We provide them funding and hope that they develop the ecosystem and innovations onwards to boost their growth. Here is a slide about Business Finland funding. So basically our funding is meant for companies who are registered here in Finland and have an innovative and scalable business idea and who are looking for international growth. Our funding is project-based. So basically you need to have a project, R&D project or a business development project. The funding is grants or loans. Typically, our funding is 50 to 70% of the project budget, and it's always co-funded. So basically, Business Finland funding is never 100%. Our companies, clients always need to have funding of their own to put into these projects. It's non-dilutive, no equity state, and it has been actually investigated that Business Finland innovation funding for startups is especially important in the early stages for the startup to start growing and reaching their next phases and go into international markets. One example of kind of would say that the public-private partnership is that it has been also investigated that if a startup receives Business Finland funding, it also helps them to receive private VC funding, which you can see from this picture. So basically startups who have been able to get funding from Business Finland, and Business Finland has already evaluated the business idea and the team and the competitive advantage. it's also a sign for the private side, for the VC funding, that okay, Business Finland thinks that there is something here in the business idea. Perhaps we should also provide funding for this company and share. They also, the VC funding side also sees this kind of as risk sharing. So Business Finland is also taking some of the risk. In the next slide, here's just a more in-depth slide about the ecosystem, which I mentioned. So Business Finland, we are challenging the leading companies, global Finnish companies here in Finland, to start building ecosystems, bringing together startups, research institutions, and other players together. And we offer these ecosystems partnership funding to do research and development, different kind of innovation projects according to the leading companies' ecosystem themes. So funding is intended in particular for those kinds of joint projects where we have companies and research organizations and also startups together. And here is an example that the funding for this ecosystem can be applied continuously, and the next cutoff date for Business Finland applications is at the end of this month. And one example of how we also try to boost the startups and their kind of collaboration with the public and private sector is that these leading companies who are getting funding from us to build the ecosystem, these leading companies have also different kind of calls on how to find relevant startups to come together with the leading companies and start innovating with them. ABB, Fortum, Konecranes are some of the examples here in the slides. They have calls for startups, they are looking for new innovative solutions, and they are also providing funding for the startups. I know that my time is running short, but just a couple of mentioning still about collaboration that we have been doing in India. India-Finland Startup Hub is an initiative that has been established together with Startup India, Business Finland and Head Start Network Foundation. And the target has been to bring the two startup ecosystems of India and Finland more closer together. We have been organizing various kinds of webinars, on-site events, accelerator programs. We have had India delegation visiting Slush and so on. So really good initiative bringing these two startup ecosystems actually together. And as my last slide, I still have one example of how especially the international startup founders who have come to Finland, we have been starting to develop this kind of a global founders network around these international founders for them to come together, exchange ideas, learn through networking. And our idea is also to act as an enabler that these international founders who have come to Finland would be able to reach also the bigger corporations here in Finland. And our plan for this year is to have some kind of joint events where we could bring these international startup founders and the bigger corporations here in Finland more closer together. We have a LinkedIn group for this network, and we're trying to continuously develop it onwards. But I think that was my last slide. Thank you for this, and it was nice, really nice to be able to present today to you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Very glad to see Business Finland and your all the inputs around inclusive innovation and perspectives on public-private partnership. We are looking forward to more programs under India-Finland Startup Bridge as well. Thank you
Yes.
once again.
Thank you.
Our last but not the least speaker, Ms. Shivangi Jain, Senior Assistant Vice President, Startup India, will now be shedding some light upon the public catalysts and the role of government support for startups from Indian perspective. Welcome, Shivangi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Surbhi. A pleasure to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Shivangi, working as a part of the Startup India team. Today's presentation, I've kept it very crisp in terms of the three major aspects of what the startup growth story has been for India. How has Startup India been a catalyst? And picking and deep diving into one of the key areas. What India has experienced in the last 8 years is actually it has majorly leapfrogged from 2016 to 2023, where India is right now the third largest nation in terms of number of unicorns, third largest in terms of number of startups, and also the largest in terms of number of startups being added every day, which is around 80. What India right now is going through is unprecedented scale of transformation, be it in terms of scale with 1.4 billion large human resources in the country, in terms of pace, every minute, 30 people are moving from a village to a city in India. Unprecedented scale of transformation, where every second, three new people join the internet, and two of them are actually from a village in India. The initiative, which is just 96 months old, has 50% of the startups coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and that's been one of the major focus areas for Startup India. In fact, one out of every 10 unicorns born globally belong to India. These are just a few of the numbers. Even if you look at the other numbers on the screen, there's major coverage in terms of grassroots level innovations coming from different districts and smaller towns in India, which is more than 700 plus. Out of the 35 states and union territories, 31 states in India have their own innovation policies. With more than 111 plus unicorns, the funding number is more than $70 billion large. However, when we talk about these numbers, they could look very, very overwhelming. But of course, India did have its share of challenges as well when we initially started. Be it in terms of having a central definition of what is a startup, be it in terms of having a strong infrastructure support for funding, capacity development of the ecosystem stakeholders, providing mentorship and guidance to the startups at every stage, or even global and domestic market access. This was one of the very important pillars because India is a large market with numerous opportunities. And if these startups don't tap onto the local opportunities first, then it's a missed opportunity. Keeping this in mind, the government took the first mover advantage, and that's where they realized the need of having a central organization, a central initiative, which was Startup India, launched on January 16th, 2016, by our honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. There was a 19-point action plan that was released. As mentioned by my colleague Surbhi, 16th of January is also celebrated as the National Startup Day, and we're all geared up for the activities that are happening throughout the week. But there were three major focus pillars when this initiative was launched. The first one was on ease of doing business for the startups. The second focused on providing a strong suite of benefits and support to the startups across the stage in terms of funding, hand-holding, etc. And the third one was on fostering partnerships, not just between the government departments and ministries, but also with the private ecosystem stakeholders. Having said that, the Startup India initiative right now focuses and helps startups across their life cycle, starting from the ideation stage to the growth stage. In the initial stages, of course, we have a DPIT recognition definition for anybody who registers themselves as an Indian startup. We have an idea bank for startups who are looking to take forward their ideas and are not too sure what should be the correct pathway. We have certain funding schemes. We take up master classes with different experts within the industry to support these startups. We have focused and pro bono learning and development programs. We provide access to investors, accelerators, and there are also a lot of flagship initiatives. Having said that, for anybody in the ecosystem who's looking at India as the market or wants to understand the Indian startup ecosystem better, our website, www.startupindia.gov.in, is the central website that has all of the resources, policies, and guides. Interestingly, the time spent on this website is more than the industry average, and that's because a lot of time is being spent by these startups on the platform, learning about different incentive schemes and also applying for the lucrative programs that are being offered. We have a community of more than 600,000 plus users. Out of these, we have more than 110,000 plus startups. There are also individual innovators, there are accelerators, incubators, government departments, private stakeholders, investors, mentors, everybody registered on the single platform. Not just that, apart from all of that you see on my current slide, you can also send in connect requests to these stakeholders and take forward your conversations directly. Till date, more than 25,000 plus connects have been successfully established, which have led to a lot of potential future opportunities. In terms of talking about the funding pillar, the initiative has till date come up with three major funding schemes that has been extensively supporting the startups across stages. For the early stage startups, we have a seed fund scheme, which is for almost $113 million. It aims to support almost 3,600 plus entrepreneurs. We have a fund of fund schemes, which was launched in 2017, which has a corpus of $1.2 billion. This is being managed by SIDBI in coordination with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We now also have a credit guarantee scheme that was announced in 2022 to extend debt free loans to the startups in the community. Talking about the next pillar, there is also a key focus on connecting the different stakeholders that are in the ecosystem for joint programs and also doing capacity development of these ecosystem enablers. That's where we have dedicated programs on building capacities of incubators. We have a dedicated platform where startups can connect with investors basis a smart algorithm that we have on the platform. And the team's focus is a lot on easing out public procurement for the startups as well. This majorly comes from a perspective of handholding the ecosystem stakeholders, being a government organization, so that there is a strong infrastructural support across avenues. We also have various marquee programs, such as the state startup ranking, where we'll be announcing the results tomorrow. Again, for the National Startup Awards, for this year, we'll be announcing the results tomorrow. There has been a Yatra program, which was majorly focused in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We have the Innovation Week that we're celebrating for this year, and many more. But when we talk about these collaborations, and of course, we've discussed a few challenges that the ecosystem has faced and what are the schemes that we came out with, deep diving more into the global engagement framework, there are certain key objectives and focus areas that we keep in mind when we're looking at these kind of collaborations. First is positioning of India as the global innovation hub and getting more international and global capital for investment into these Indian startups, creating international landing pads for these startups to successfully expand to different markets, and also providing and enabling exchange of best practices and knowledge with different stakeholders. When we initially started, of course, there were various challenges that we faced, especially in terms of global market access. There wasn't much visibility with respect to what Startup India was doing, the positioning, etc. That's where, via our missions, we took up a lot of exposure visits, roadshows, mentorships, webinars, etc. Talking about scalability of the system, we did not have very robust processes, and that's where we started with the soft landing platforms called the international bridges that I'll be talking about in my next slide. Also, there was a need of measuring the impact to really focus your energies and also to come up with the right kind of programs that really help the Indian startups. And that's why we started building very, very exhaustive processes and doing detailed monitoring and evaluation of each of the programs and the impact that we're able to create. And of course, it's always been a lean team, but that's where we take extensive support from the ecosystem enablers. We take support from the innovation organizations globally, and of course, our embassies and missions, who are always an extended part of the Startup India team. Currently, as we speak, we have 20 international bridges. For any of you who are keen on expanding to any of these markets, you can just go to the page on the Startup India website, go through the market guides, and this essentially acts as the one stop platform where you can get all of the information with respect to the corresponding market. And similarly, for entrepreneurs who are joining us from different countries, if you're looking at India as a market, again, these international bridges serve as a one stop destination where you can get all of the information about these market guides on that single page. Apart from that, we also talk about the programs that are upcoming. And also, there is support email IDs that are also provided on these pages so that if there's any particular query or question that you feel that the page is not really answering, you can write to the person. Having said that, while we do have 20 international bridges, we are working very, very actively with more than 40 plus countries and missions. And what you see on the screen are just a few of them. And in addition to that, there are also a lot of multilateral tie ups that we have focused on. The most recent one being the Startup 20 initiative that was launched under the G20 presidency. Of course, the most powerful group of countries where startups as a subject matter and their economic importance was talked about and further also formalized in the leaders' declaration. But what are these models and how do we come up with these models? This is mapped on the basis of the need of the startup, the kind of stakeholders that we have, and that's how we define the programs that could perhaps benefit ecosystem enablers from both the countries. A startup's need mapping is majorly with respect to accessing new markets, mentorship and advisory support that could be provided, pumping the right kind of working capital and resources to kind of expand to the different market, regulatory support, etc. And that's where we've seen that for each of these programs that we have been able to strategize with our country partners, including the ones who were present today, our partners have been more on the lines of the government agencies, the innovation organizations, mentors, the Indian diaspora, and also the investors who have already been very actively investing into the Indian ecosystem and are also very, very bullish on the India's growth. What you see on the screen right now are just two examples of what we've done with Sweden and Netherlands. This is just to give you an idea of the kind of programs that we do. But yes, we've done innovation challenges. We have the soft landing platform. We've done various mentorship series that helps Indian entrepreneurs understand the Sweden market and the Netherlands market well. We've had a dedicated platform focused on agri-tech as well, and also a lot of pitching sessions that have happened with these markets. Apart from this, focus is also on taking delegations to different markets where Indian startups can connect with like-minded individuals and take up the initiatives together for long-term partnerships. These are just a few of the partners that we've been working very, very actively with. In case you're wondering that how and where can you find out more about these programs, in that case, I'm very happy to redirect you to a few of the social media platforms that we have, including a helpline number as well. You can follow us there, and all of the programs and initiatives that we do they're all mentioned there. We look forward to working with each one of you closely and collaboratively. And thank you so much for having me here. Over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you so much for a detailed presentation, Shivangi, on the work that Startup India has been doing and how far Startup India within the last 8 years have come to support startups. We have a question for you. It's by the user. They are asking what are the upcoming programs for the startups that they can see, and where can they find the details for these programs?
Thank you so much, Surbhi. Yes, about the programs, as I mentioned, I would request you to follow us on different social media platforms. We're extremely active there. We are now on Instagram as well. So, yes, the Twitter platform, the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, even Koo. So, you can find all of the information there. Secondly, about the upcoming programs, of course, this entire week we've had a host of programs, events, sessions that we've done with respect to the Innovation Week. So, in case you've missed out, there are recordings of those sessions as well on the social media platform. We also have till 18th a lot of more sessions that are coming up, so you can refer to our social media handles for this. And tomorrow we have the result declaration ceremony for the state ranking framework and the National Start Award. So we would request you to look out for that as well.
Thank you so much, Shivangi. A user has a next question for Mr. Lee. They want to know how can they apply if they want to be a part of the uh, business center applications.
We have some opportunity to Korean company at first. They can apply online. It takes around 30 days. But in the case of the common space, it takes around 1 day. It takes around 5 minutes to apply online. Okay, thank you.
Noted, Mr. Lee. Thank you so much. Hannah, a user is intrigued to know more about the funding models that Business Finland has to offer. Can you share some details about the programs that are running and might be planned for the future?
Yes. So basically, Business Finland is providing grants and loans. I would say that the biggest funding instruments we have are for R&D development projects. Then it can be either a grant or a loan. But if you're planning to go to international markets or do business development, we have different kind of grants to that as well. But it needs to be remembered that the company needs to be headquartered here in Finland. So basically, it needs to have a Finnish VAT number, and the central team and the IPRs of that company need also be here in Finland to be able to apply for Business Finland funding instruments.
Noted. We have a question for Jaika and Mr. Hajime as well. Mr. Hajime, can you hear us? Okay, what we'll do is we'll post the question to him through email and we
Yes, I
will
can
let.
hear you.
Okay, you are here. Mr. Hajime, the audience wants to know about the pitching series that you have been conducting and how can they be a part of the pitching series?
Okay, my colleague can respond to you. Yes.
Good afternoon to all. So I'm officer in charge of the SGBB project that our senior representative just presented. So he has presented three projects, and the first one and the second one, as you might recall, it is in partnership with IIT Madras as well as Startup India. And the startups related to that region may be taken up, but it is for the first time we are going to do online. So wherever in India, basically it will be possible. But the detailed design will of course be done. From the Indian side, it will be done by IIT Madras or Startup India, and from JICA side, we will of course take care of our counterpart in the Japanese side. And also, thirdly, the third point we raised was Ninja project that we will work on with collaboration with Deloitte. That is also will be from the first phase. It will be the online model. Of course, there will be some kind of physical interaction, but the first step is the online. So basically, it is possible for the old Indian startups. So that is if I hope I answer your question.
We are very excited for the Ninja program. Yes, Shivangi, you want to add something?
Yes, thank you so much. Thought of also adding about the current pitching series that is going on with Japan, and that's in partnership with the Indian mission in Japan. That's where we have sector-focused pitching series that is being offered to selected Indian startups. These Indian startups are actually the winners and finalists of the National Startup Awards. So if anybody is keen on participating in this particular series, that of course will be coming up with this year as well, once the current series gets over, we would request you to apply for the National Startup Awards as soon as the window opens.
Thank you so much. We have another set of questions that have been coming in, but I will not hold the audience any longer. What I will do is I will send those questions to all of you over email, and we will be happy to share the responses as a text to our live stream later on YouTube and other social media channels. Any last word from any of the speakers here? Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time and your participation. Have a great day and a happy National Startup Day to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.